Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's start. Let's hit the road. This second panel discussion already in the beautiful Cascais here at the GCCM. Current technological innovation, trends, advancements in satellite markets on a regional and global scale. And I'm very happy and very proud to have the subject matter experts sitting here. I would like to, first of all and foremost, thank Christophe and Cés for the sponsoring of the sessions. Thank you so much. We'll hear later more from you and from Cés. I quickly give them a minute to introduce themselves, and then we'll go into a presentation, keynote presentation from Christophe. So Eduardo, if I may ask you, quickly introduce yourself.
Hello. My name is Eduardo. I work in the wholesale solutions here in Portugal. I am dedicated to the satellite services and capacity. I'm in this world for almost 30 years, starting with the satellite services, and now integrating this key panel with great pleasure.
Okay, thank you, and welcome. Philippe?
Hello, thank you. First of all, thank you CC team and thank you SES for having us today. I'm Philippe, I work with Eutelsat Group and I'm in charge of marketing and offering to the telco community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you and welcome for you as well. And Christophe?
Hi, good morning everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Carrier community to have invited us. I would like to thank you, Eric, to have prepared this panel with us, and of course our partner, Meo, so Eduardo and Jorge. So I'm Christophe Ferreni. I work for SES, and SES is a satellite company that provide connectivity all over the world using different type of satellites, some on geostationary and some on Middle Earth orbit. And very pleased today to participate to this panel.
Okay, thank you so much, and all of you three gentlemen, a very warm welcome in this beautiful city of Cascais in Portugal. If I may invite you, please, Christophe, for your presentation, and I'm sure, more than sure, that it will be very interesting. So, over to you.
So I would like to start with two questions. Portugal is also a country of football, and I would like to know in the room who is from Lisbon. Okay, so I would like to know who is a supporter of Sporting Lisbon. Okay, so I probably spend time with you tonight, guys. And then now I would like to know who are the Benfica Lisbon supporter. Okay.
Now so, don't fight, eh?
Just wanted to let you know that I'm a big Olympique de Marseille supporter. And I loved what happened last Thursday in the Stade Vélodrome. So tonight, we'll probably stay away from you guys, but there is enough Sporting Lisbon people to enjoy a good evening. Okay. So today, we present our multi-orbital solution for network resiliency. So satellite, especially today, is here to complement, to provide backup to terrestrial and non-terrestrial connectivity when there is an outage. And later on during this presentation, I will provide you some use cases so that you are able to understand how we can help you and help the telco to ensure business continuity. So before to start, I would like to give you a quick explanation on the different orbits where satellites are operating. Some of you are familiar with it, some of you not. But what is important is to understand that satellites are at different orbits. They are the traditional satellites that are on the geo orbit, which are the traditional satellites. And this is mainly what SES has been doing for the last 30 years, what Intelsat, Eutelsat has been doing for the last 30 years. Then you have another type of satellite, which are at the Middle Earth orbit, closer to the Earth, with a lower latency. And SES is the only operator today that operates satellites at this orbit. And then the last one is low Earth orbit, which is even closer to the Earth. And you probably heard about OneWeb, about Starlink. These satellites are a latency which is around 50 milliseconds, so very close to Earth. And that generates additional use cases in off-net locations. And what do we do as SES with these multi-orbits? So basically we own GEO and LEO. So on GEO, the latency is low, but you have a lot of use cases that do not need a low latency, such as video or watching Netflix. And therefore, GEO satellite is very good to support those type of use cases. Then we have Middle Earth orbit, whereby the latency is much closer, around 150 milliseconds. And on the LEO, we are able to push gigabits of connectivity from the sky with strong service level agreements, MEF certified, telco grades, and that can actually be used to support backup fiber, can support connectivity on the cruise ship, can also provide connectivity to mobile backhauling. So there we can support many use cases other than the GEO. Having said this, there is not a global coverage, so we are limited in terms of coverage from, let's say, Paris up to South Africa. And therefore, that's why the complementarity with our GEO solution, where we have a global coverage, help us to cover the whole world. And then we also consider ourselves a LEO provider, not that we have our own constellation, but we partner with Starlink. Just to give you an example, we provide connectivity to the cruise ship today, and we have a product which is used of MEO, GEO, and LEO to ensure seamless connectivity to all the cruise ship wherever they are in the world. And on the LEO side, so the latency is much closer, so it enables more use cases where the latency is super important. However, the committed information rate is not always secured, so it's best efforts, and some critical applications that are required with secured connectivity might not be the right solution, and therefore MEO or GEO is there to provide secured connectivity. So I will show you a quick video. Oh no, not yet, sorry. Video is going to come after this. So this is just an example of a multi-orbit network resiliency between MEO and LEO. So what you see is that you have the primary connectivity, submarine cable or terrestrial. We put MEO, which is always going to be the critical link, and basically what you see is that at the moment there is a cut, then there is a possibility so to maintain the MEO, then to add LEO using an SD1, which is going to optimize and do an automation failover from the terrestrial but also to satellite connectivity. And why? Because then what will happen is that it will ensure business continuity, and it will ensure that the capacity or the connectivity, and we're talking about gigabit, can be restored within certain hours. We all know that when you have a cable cut, and it does happen every now and then, so West Africa was an example, but also in the Red Sea, to be able to restore those cables takes time. But business cannot wait this time in order to restore the day-to-day operation. And a lot of money is being lost. So every day that you're not able to restore it, it's a day loss of operation, and satellite, MEO LEO, is here to be able to restore this within a certain number of hours. And I think what is important moving forward is instead to repair or to heal, that takes time, we should be proactive and we should be preventing this. So to ensure that all telcos have a business continuity plan so that if there is a cut, within a few hours, the link is back up. And now, it's a video.
In our hyper-connected world, just a single point of network failure can have disastrous consequences for connectivity. From unexpected cable cuts to natural disasters, your network faces severe threats on an ongoing basis. Unplanned downtime can have severe repercussions that damage brand reputation, lose customers' trust, and can create significant financial loss. Resiliency Empowered is a revolutionary satellite backup service engineered to transform communication resilience for enterprises worldwide. Designed to act quickly with your primary fiber optic link, Resiliency Empowered ensures you stay connected, especially when you need it the most. When network disruptions strike, Resiliency Empowered gives you the reliability you need in a crisis with an immediate satellite failover. Our unique capacity allocation ensures your operations continue without any hitch, with always-on, demand bandwidth capability. With global reach and proactive assistance, Resiliency Empowered has you covered, no matter where you are. Your critical operations deserve the best. Run them with Resiliency Empowered's low latency, high security, and highly available capacity. No other engineered connectivity service provider offers this level of scalability and performance. In a world where connectivity is paramount, ensure that your enterprise never faces the darkness of network disruption. Resiliency Empowered, transforming communication resilience for a bright, uninterrupted future. O3B Empowered, performance.
Not the best quality of sound, but the best quality of connectivity up there on Empower. Just to be sure. Oh. Okay. So now we are going to touch base on two different use cases that should be self-explanatory to you based on the latest use cases that you have seen in the actualities. So for instance, disaster recovery. Earthquake, hurricanes, these are happening every month now. Some say due to global warming, some say due to weather forecast, but it's happening. And when there is such a disaster happening, there is an urgent need of having connectivity, and that's where satellite comes in. So here's a use case where you'll be able to see the challenges, the objectives that we want to achieve. So what is it that we want to do when there is a disaster? We want to make sure that we maintain the connectivity as good as what it was before the disaster. We want to minimize the downtime. We want to ensure that we are ready to turn and switch on the connectivity ASAP, so that there is continuity in the day-to-day operation. Challenges that we're having is that it's unpredictable. We don't know exactly where and when an earthquake is going to happen, or an hurricane. To be able to be quickly on the ground and to deploy the link, including the remote terminals, that could also be a challenge. And then, depending on the capacity that is being needed at the time, we normally have the possibility to provide gigabit of connectivity, but it could be that in some situation where it happens, the connectivity or the total capacity available might not be enough. Having said this, we at SCS, we have a plan in place where we can quickly deploy so that the gigabit, the capacity is up within a very short period of time. And in terms of quality of service, in terms of secured connectivity, it's telco grade. We have strong SLA, and we do have the same type of technical capabilities and what the fiber can do. So, ability to deploy gigabits of connectivity, fiber-like performance, and dedicated connectivity also. It's not something that is going to be shared. It's 100% dedicated to the use of the end user. And this is a topology. Here we are looking at a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, and then you can have an idea on how does it work and between our satellite and the equipment on the ground. So basically, if there is a need for you to have a plan to support a disaster, you can come to us, we can work with you, and we can ensure that you can offer such a service in order to provide connectivity in those difficult moments. And now the next use case, which is going around the resiliency of the core network. So we have seen in the Red Sea, with the Houthis, they have been jamming or touching the submarine cable, and internet has been out. And when internet is out, then the whole operation is paralyzed. So here, what is it that we want to achieve with you is to modernize the core network, to bring a robust network, to bring resiliency, so that if a submarine cable cut down, and even though you have a second one, a third one, like what happened in West Africa, 4 cables cut in one go, then you always have a safety net with satellite. And again, we can provide the connectivity, gigabits of connectivity, fiber-like performance, and none of the enterprise that you are serving and the people you are serving will actually feel that there was a cut because of the satellite being used here. And this is a bit the topology on the core resiliency. So we are not here to replace, but we are very much complementary. We very much want to be being used as a safe net, that you use us as an insurance, that at the back of your mind, that you know if there is such a thing happening, that you can use our services and restore operation within a few number of hours. I will say a few minutes, but it's not true. Maybe a few hours. Yeah, and that's about it. I really wanted to make it very interesting for you, very self-explanatory, so that it relates to the actuality and what you are facing today. So if you have any further questions, and if you are not a supporter of Benfica Lisbon, you can see me tonight, and I would be pleased to further discuss with you. I have also my colleague in the room here, Miguel Boavida, Memo, and Mark will also be very pleased to support you. Memo, Guillermo Rodriguez, sorry. It is. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any immediate questions for Christophe? Something which pop-ups now to you where you say, well, you know what? That I want to ask now. Vida. It's her question. Well, here we go.
I have a question. You mentioned that the cables can be cut, right? And we all face huge challenges once it's happening. So what are the biggest threat for a satellite? So what can go wrong, and how you well prepared with backup solutions? So it's a different world, and so it's good to know what can happen there.
Next to an asteroid, huh? I mean, Thank you, Vida, for your question.
No, so thank you for a good question. So I think what we need to look at is what has happened in the past, especially with the satellites on the geo orbits. Because basically, to make it work on geo, you have one satellite, so one single point of failure. So what we have seen is if a satellite fails or doesn't work, and it can happen during the life of the satellite, but it also can happen at the moment the satellite is being put up there. Well, companies like Eutelsat, Intelsat, SES, then we work together to ensure that if one satellite is not working, that the other satellite operator will make the capacity available. And this is what we have done for the past 30 years. And sometimes, it's good for us, because if, for instance, a satellite from Viasat over Latin America that was supposed to provide terabit of connectivity doesn't work, well, our satellite that was launched 2 or 3 years before this, then automatically is resetting this capacity to the one that was supposed to go on Viasat. But we at SES, we also had failure of satellites. And in this case, we were very pleased to have either Intelsat or Eutelsat to support us. So that's for GEO, and this has happened in the past, and it will still happen. And for the other orbits, so it's not one satellite that you have, but it's at Middle Earth orbit, it's 12, 14 satellites. And the thing is, you don't need to have the full 14 satellites to make it work. So if there is one satellite that fails, then you can still work with the other 13, while finding a solution to replace the number 14. And we had this issue on our first version of Middle Earth orbit, and then we are always able to have a backup plan. On the low Earth orbit, actually there is much more satellites, but for this one, I wouldn't know. Maybe
in the low Earth orbit, so I would only speak to the one I know, that is to say the OneWeb constellation. Yes, you don't need the full constellation to get the service overall, so definitely, and this is the same stuff that we've been seeing with the friends at Starlink, that some of their satellites, just like some of our satellites, are not in full operation 24/7. But at the end of the day, this is the beauty or the complexity of the constellation. And so what we can do, in case there would be a cut on a satellite, then of course we would relaunch at the end of the day a group of a smaller satellite in order to fill the gap of those, let's call that, missing satellites. So definitely, LEO is some change from the topology and from the way we have been managing satellite in those past 40 years.
Okay. Another question in the back from the gentleman over there. Just 1 second. Microphone will be delivered to you. It's faster than DHL, huh? You know this, huh? Please.
Yeah, so I worked back in time a lot with satellite, including SES when it was NSS. And we figured, and we had a lot of issues back in the time with interference, sometimes interference on the transponders. We had some issues as well with local interference, and we wanted to know, like, because we are migrating some of our remote areas to LEO, and everything is Ka band. So do you have any plans to have capacity on less or less affected by rain fade connectivity?
So, very good question. And so let's start with your experience that you had a few years ago when you had interference, especially I think with a GEO satellite. So the GEO satellites have different bands, KA, KU, and C-band. Let's say these are the three main bands. C-band is the most resilient of all. Having said this, the spectrum being used by the C-band was very much needed to free up 5G spectrum for the telco. So we at SES still have C-band satellites, but our satellites are mainly KU and KA. KU still very resilient, not as resilient as C-band, and indeed there is connectivity in raining area that could be an impact, and KA also. But we provide SLA, we provide megabits, so we provide a network uptime of 99.5, and which means that if the connectivity using KA and middle Earth orbit is using KA, I think on LEO it's KA-KU, I guess, we always commit to an SLA. So no matter how much rain there is, no matter how much issue there could be with the interference, we will always ensure there is the right amount of connectivity to meet this SLA. So I will say that today, and this is at least what we see with our middle Earth orbit solution, we have much less of this interference than before. And if we do not meet our SLA, then we must provide a credit to ensure that the end customer receive something back. But in today's world with MEO, we do not, or we have a few interference due to the fact that we provide an SLA. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your question. Let's see if there's another question. Nah, not yet. Not yet.
It's good. It's two more questions than the previous.
You keep counting, huh? You know, Sporting, Benfica. Yeah, you see?
So those two difficult questions came from Benfica Lisbon supporter, I see. So
who are you going to drink beer with tonight? Now, you have to make up your mind. Okay, let's move into it. Maybe Philippe, if I start with you, assessing the present state of the terrestrial and the non-terrestrial networks. What is the current state of them, and such as HAPs and LEO, the satellite constellation? What can you share with us? What is a little bit more, let's say, what can we?
Well, there's a lot of trendy stuff and trendy changes that are happening into the satellite ecosystem. I would say, of course, two examples. The fact that we are here today, first of all, because you guys are submarine cable expert, and you are still keen to have us today with you, and you have SES. I saw colleagues from Hispasat also today, and including Eutelsat. So this is a clear sign that something is changing in the industry.
And we at the GCCM bring you all together. You know?
Perfect.
There you go.
Voilà.
Et voilà.
So first sign. Second sign, some of you might have participated to the late Barcelona Mobile World Congress, and for sure there were satellite or 5G something everywhere. So this 5G something is the so-called NTN, non-terrestrial networks. So this is within the 3GPP regulation and standardization body that you guys know pretty well, I'm sure. So within the development of 5G, there will be a slice, if I could say, for satellite and objects in the skies. Okay? And so step by step, little by little, this 3GPP is now standardizing the way satellite and an high altitude platform would speak to 5G and terrestrial networks. So of course, this is a big move for our industry because the dream or the fantasy, eventually the nightmare, is that in some years from now, you guys from a landing station, from your console, you would activate remotely a satellite link anywhere on Earth, be it GEO, be it MEO, and be it LEO. So this is the big change that is happening into our industry. And of course, there's a guy named Elon that is also impacting a bit the industry, but probably this is for another question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now let's throw some curveballs here to juice it up a little bit. Now, Eduardo from Altice, what are these guys useful for you? You know? Are they helping you, or?
I am the only guy here that don't have satellites. So, but I am in the key point that I think it's very important as a telecom operator. We are dealing and we are integrating all of this. It's with very pleasure that I see the submarine world and the satellite world being together and working together. And I assist that several years ago when the satellite is only used to make the recovery of some submarine systems. We used to do that in our system here in Portugal. But now the importance of the satellite is growing and growing and give us an opportunity to grow together with these companies. From our side in Altice, we belong to the ground segment. These guys are in the space segment. They have the satellites, they have the services. From our side, we have the ground segment. We operate in Portugal several teleports where these guys are present. We have the pleasure to have SAS, OneWeb, Eutelsat, and the other operators with us. And our key point in this is being the middle of a triangle. We belong to the world that has satellites, submarine cables, and mobile networks. And our idea and our key point is integrating all of them.
So they are useful, that's what you're saying.
We must grow together and we must be together to make this path.
Complementary towards each other.
For sure.
Is that how I can say?
I think it's good.
Yeah? Okay. Philip, staying with you. Examining the new, examining the entry of the new players and adoption of the cutting edge technologies, and the evolution, of course, of the business models. Who are those new players and entrants, and are we ready to adopt the cutting edge technologies? You know, what will the business model shift? I mean, I know 6 questions, but maybe, you know.
I think it's a question for all of us at some point, but from a strict satellite operator standpoint, well, yes, the business models are changing. I have been with Eutelsat for 11 years now. And so when I joined the company 11 years ago, we were mostly providing what we call in our slang, raw capacity. Yeah. Okay, so I was turning to Altice or PT at that time, and some other traditional or incumbent telcos, they would take my capacity, they would take our capacity, and then they would turn that into connectivity. Okay, so the big change in our industry is that today, when the telco and where the government enterprise are coming to us, they say, I would like 100 meg in Gabon. I would like 100 meg in Madeira, because there's a soccer player there that is willing to get connectivity, etc., etc. And then again, Elon came with this beautiful vertically integrated model, let's say to some extent, a la iTunes, I would say. Okay, and so we, the traditional satellite operators, we need to react. If we need to react, at least we need to act. And I would say the end point with that is I think we need to be extremely flexible. Okay, so what does it mean to be flexible for a satellite operator? Hopefully this is your next question. And maybe if I may add, I have a single point. So I would not discuss soccer, football, because I'm not a big expert on Benfica and Sporting. I would not discuss either José Saramago, even though I recognized him. But I would say this is also something very special this week in Portugal, because let me explain. As a teenager, in my home, there was a picture taken by my uncle. He was a cameraman from the French TV at that time, and he was sent 50 years ago in Lisbon to the Cravos, the Carnation. So happy anniversary, Portugal.
Okay.
Thank you. It has been an inspiration.
Christophe, talking also about the trends and the factors affecting the current connectivity market in the South European and African region, how can they meet the demand which is there? Because the demand is becoming huge, stratospherical, amazingly a lot. So what can you tell us?
So what we see, indeed, the need of connectivity is increasing a lot. If you compare to 10 years ago, and if we look at what will be used in 2030, there's a huge need of connectivity. And this is mainly driven by the users. It's mainly driven also by, going from 4 to 5G. And the satellite company like us are here to meet this demand. So if we look at our traditional satellites, you could be able to provide maybe 400 or 500 megabits on a given country. In today's world, with our Middle Earth orbit satellites, we can provide on a specific location 5 to 6 gigs of connectivity. So the technology that is being used, either on LEO or MEO, is addressing this connectivity increase. And this will get only more and more and more. Also, 5G is not present everywhere, especially in Africa, but in some other areas, they are already talking about 6G, which will require even more connectivity. And the fact that now satellites are becoming innovative, which was not really the case, I guess, for plus 20 years. It's pushing everybody to support what is likely going to happen in the coming years. And I think we should have enough satellite to support the connectivity growth.
/ shortage, right?
/ shortage.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about this shortage or linking it a little bit to that, what kind of challenges are we facing, Philippe? And then maybe after that, Eduardo.
Well, the kind of shortage we are seeing is very much located in some, I would say, key markets, or let's say very special markets. So of course, in Africa, there are some markets where for geopolitical reasons, for business-driven reasons, or for regional motives also, you might have temporary shortage of capacity.
Yeah, but hold on. That could be, is it the chicken or the egg? Because there is no connectivity,
I would join you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would join you on that. So if we look at those markets, and this is not only Africa, and this is also, I live in rural France, and close to my place, I just have 2 meg. Mm-hmm. So is that a shortage of capacity or what? To be discussed. Okay. So it really depends. But I would join you on that the more capacity we can provide, deliver, and into, of course, an affordable terms and conditions, the better chance we have to see business growing and development and community development happening. This is for sure, and this has been all the learnings we have had all of those years, of course, working in Africa, Southeast Asia, the Americas, but again, also Europe. And also, since we spoke about Russian fish earlier this morning, we could also speak about Ukraine. where, of course, in those days, there is, as you would guess, shortage of capacity. And of course, this is a very sad and tragic reason for having this shortage of capacity, but this is also a good illustration of what could happen and where, at the end of the day, satellite and telcos and terrestrial operators could work together.
Okay, Eduardo?
From our side, not only referring particularly to Africa market, but we also here have some issues with peripheral regions. In Portugal, we have not a problem, but thing that we must solve, that is, we have 9 islands in the Atlantic, Azores.
Lucky you.
Yeah, that are the Hawaii. We must go there and see what kind of nature is
Well,
there.
I think GCCM last week was just at the Cape Verde, so...
Let's do that
trust
next
me,
year. Next year.
we like to explore, huh?
Next year, Ponta Delgada will be there. But we have an issue because we have submarine cables to there, and we have the intention to have a new submarine cable that we, a Portuguese company, will start developing to there. But we maintain an issue that we must solve, that is the resilience of that cables. The islands are in the middle of the Atlantic. There's a volcanic island. We have several issues with the cut of the cables. We have, that is a ring between Azores and Madeira, but we cannot have this situation for most long time. And the satellite is a solution, and must be the solution to this resilience. Not for provide the entire capacity of the cable in the first moment of the cut, but we need to maintain the service to the local people and the essential services to there. So it's not only a problem to Africa, and because Africa is a huge country and a huge continent, but we also, as a telecom operator, have this issue.
Okay. Partnership models. We quickly touched on those one, and Philippe, if I may ask, where do you see partnerships models come? Because and maybe Christophe, you can join in there as well. Because by the end of the day, I mean, we can't do everything by ourselves, right? We need each other, and we need to actually increase a little bit, our partnerships. I see this all around the world. Hence, to get a better customer experience, and by the end of the day, sell more, earn more, right? I mean, we're not in this business for nothing, and also to please the investors behind it. So, where do you see partnerships, aligning, coming, evolving? What can you share with us?
I will start with this. So, indeed, partnership is important because we cannot do everything on our own. To launch a LEO constellation, it's expensive. There is a huge capex requires. There is a need of changing the satellite every 5 to 6 years. And if we look at Elon and if we look at Jeff Bezos, who is going to come with Kuiper, they don't play with the same rules than us. They have deep pockets. So indeed, we need to work on partnership. We are partnering with Starlink on our cruise market. So in cruise, we are the #1 connectivity leader. We provide connectivity out to 9 out of the 10 biggest cruise ships. So if you go on a cruise, 100% sure the connectivity comes from us. We provide gigabit of connectivity on those ships, but we cannot cover above Paris. So when a cruise ship goes to visit the fjord in Norway, then there is a need to switch from our solution to another solution, in this case, Starlink. And that's where we try to build a partnership, to try to understand how can we provide a seamless experience to the end customer without building our own constellation. And I would say that this is, let's say, one of the best examples we have in terms of partnership. Yeah.
Okay, maybe Filippo, Eduardo, maybe Eduardo can tell us later a little bit about, let's say, on the fixed, players. I mean,
for our point of view, and our partnership with these satellite operators it's fantastic. We have starting our partnership with O3B 10 years ago in our teleporting center.
And it was a really tough journey, right?
Yeah. It was complicated because it was the first time, it was the first approach from a satellite operator. We used to have our teleport operating as to our own customers, not bring to our home the satellite operator and provide them all these facilities. But this partnership, it's essential. I heard last month in Washington during the satellite conference a sentence that I was taken, and I think is fantastic, because someone says that it's complicated working together, but it's more complicated be alone in this world.
True that.
Yeah.
True that.
And that is our key point. We don't go anywhere. We must get together, and we will assist this more and more because this world is changing. It's changing, and we are very excited with new opportunities and new integration of services. We are very cautious with this new approach because newcomers have a new business models that we must observe, we must integrate in our own way of doing the business. And I believe during these next years we will have very, very important opportunities to achieve with this.
Okay, Philippe, anything on partnership?
I think I would join Eduardo, and maybe we could say that there's no other option for us in the satellite industry to build up partnership with you guys, I mean the telco operators and the carriers, for a lot of reasons. Probably the first one is that you might know that the satellite ecosystem is just 5% of the total telecom ecosystem in terms of numbers. So we are the small guys, and you are the big fish, small fish, and no Russian fish. And so this is one reason for us, the satellite operators, to really try to partner with you guys. And I think at the end of the day, the best way for us to partner is to have this policy and culture of, I would call that, open books, in order to explain the way it works, the reason why satellite has been so far a vertically integrated industry. And again, the Starlink is a very, very good example of that. It's good service, I must say. Sometimes no best effort, but okay, good service. Very affordable, as you guys know already. But it's fully vertically integrated. So the interconnection into the landline, into the terrestrial network is complex. I'm sure the guy would arrange that at any time. But still, this is complex. And I think we all share that into the satellite ecosystem. So my answer to that would be open book policy. Please come to us, come to our teleports in Portugal, in Madeira, in Italy, in France. Have a look, check by yourself, have a, let's call that proof of concept, test it, and then let's go back to the seaside in Cascais, for instance.
That's a good option.
And let's put the numbers onto a sheet of paper to see if it matches or if it speaks to the end user customers. Because at the end of the day, we, just like you guys, the carriers and the telcos, we have our customers to please and to serve in the end. And so this is where I think the cooperation should work. So maybe it's like marriage. At the end, either you get happy or you get philosophical.
Now, don't get too fast now, huh? Anyway, guys, thank you for being here with us and before lunch, because we're running late a little bit. Just a quick closing round, scoping a little bit the future. Eduardo, if I can start with you, what should we look out for? What will happen?
The future.
Yes, sir.
It's on? Okay. The future, I think, will be very, very exciting, and we have a lot of change. And the first one will be this integration. Even Starlink, that was started alone with They don't need anyone. Now they are approaching to the terrestrial operators. And they need to have one key point in this business model, that is integration with the terrestrial networks, the mobile networks. The huge approach at this moment and the huge challenge will be the direct-to-device services that will come, and they are here, they are next to, in the next, we have already some operators doing that, but it will be integrated in our lives. That will be a great challenge to operators, to satellite operators, to terrestrial operators, to all of us, because it will be the great key point in this all this model.
Okay, thank you. Philippe?
Hopefully come back next year if you still want me.
For sure.
And then, yes, try to continue to be flexible.
Okay, thank you. Last famous words. Christophe?
Yeah, so what the future will bring us, I would say that eventually for the end user, when you will talk about connectivity, it will not be able to make a difference if it's terrestrial or satellite-driven. The innovation that has been put over the last 4 or 5 years has been tremendous, and as Philippe mentioned, with the latest 3GPP standards and the enabling of new use cases, satellites is now becoming part of the telco, more of the telco ecosystem, and eventually it will be a seamless connectivity regardless if it's terrestrial or satellites. And that maybe around 2030, yeah.
I'm still young then, I think. You know?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much. And with those famous words that I'm still young in 2030, I want to close this session. Eduardo, thank you so much. Philippe, thank you. And of course, Christophe and SES Networks for sponsoring this session. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank you because you stayed with us, and hopefully we could share some information with you which you didn't know yet, but was just a little bit of, educational, and that's why we have this panel and knowledge sessions with you and for you. So thank you as well, and enjoy lunch. I'll see you after lunch. Bye.